Namaste, Om Sai Ram. Today it's a very beautiful and important day where this landmark book in Baba's history has come into publication. Ambrosia and Shirdi, this is volume 1. And it's really a great honor and privilege that we were allowed to publish this. So, this was compiled by Dr. Vinny Chitluri, and today I will be discussing this with Gautam. So, Gautam, welcome.
Thank you, Nick, for having me.
Thank you for your time as always.
Pleasure.
So, Gautam, this book was compiled by Dr. Vinny Chitluri, and in a way, I felt it sums up her whole life seva, so it makes it even more special because she's rendered to all of Baba's devotees the most precious seva for the last 30 years and more that she lived in Shirdi. And she compiled, as I always say, after Narasimha Swamiji's prachar, who she actually met as a child. She sat in his lap. She was blessed by Das Kanu Maharaj. He had put his hand on her head as a child.
Oh, I didn't know this. Beautiful.
So you see, the seeds of Baba's prachar were sown into her at a very young age of, I think, 7 or 8 years old. She was very young. And thereafter, years to come later, she's continued the great work of Swamiji. So this book has a history to it, where the original work was compiled by Ramalinga Swami, and Shivnisan Swamiji was his guru. So he had asked him to compile a book on the places around Shirdi and in Shirdi and the significance, But it was pretty complex. So then he asked Vinima much later that you rewrite this book and compile it into something simpler for devotees to get easy access to.
So these are places within and around Shirdi associated with Baba.
Yes. So all the important places, and you see, Vinima would take people on walking tours in Shirdi for years, any time of the year, every day. So she would lovingly take people, to all the places in Shirdi around the temple, all the temples and the route Baba would take. Then the places around Shirdi in her own car as a seva, they would take people, which would take about 2.5 hours. So it's a great seva she has rendered.
I think most of us are not even aware. We just visit the Samadhi, Dwarkamai, Chavdi and go. Most people don't know about this, and I'm so glad that a book is coming out which is really highlighting these places.
So, you see, she has, in this book, compiled the detailed significance with photographs and explanations for everything, say for example, in Dwarkamai, in Chavdi, in the Samadhi Mandir, in the museum, the places in the temple premises, the samadhis, the significance of the trees there, Lendi Bagh, everything in detail she has documented. So when one reads this book and goes through it, and then when you visit Shirdi, it will be a very, very divine experience, because you see, when you present yourself in front of something that has such significance to Baba's life, and its real meaning, it has a very different meaning. Like, you go to the places around Shirdi knowing Baba had spent time in exactly this spot, and when you go there, you go with a very different feeling of reverence.
Sure, and I think people would love to do it. I remember a couple of years ago, we went to, was it a Hanumanji temple where?
Yes, that
what
was in Rui.
That Baba used to?
That was in Rui. So the tour began from there.
And what was the
Baba
significance?
would go to this temple. So from there the tour of around Shirdi would begin. So we had gone with Sada.
Yes, and that was such a special visit. Remember, I was saying there's such a deep presence in this complex, and we wanted to be there for some time. I think it's really a gift. You know, you go abroad, for example, if you go to a museum or even the home of a poet I visited in the UK, each bedroom you are given these earphones and a QR code, and each bedroom you are taken through. Can you imagine if this is done for...
It's already done. So what actually happened was I spoke with Sada after Ma's demise, and I asked Sada, I said, see, nobody can explain this like she would. And by Baba's grace, the documentaries were recorded where she's explained the significance, and this book, we had the old version, but it took us 2 years because if you see the old version, it's 1/3 the size. So we actually archived all her photographs she had clicked over the years, made a proper archive, put those original photos that she had taken into this. And I also requested Sada to go to all these places and send me the geolocation.
Oh, wow.
So in this, we've added another section of the exact route that she would take devotees through, which are in 3 parts. It's within the temple premises, then the route in Shirdi, and the third route is the places around Shirdi. So the exact sequence, all the locations are QR coded, and Sada, gratitude to him, he went to all these places numerous times. We took photographs, and that has now been compiled. So as Vinny Ma would say at that time, she said, say, I take you, you take 5 more people. So this way Baba's history is preserved and propagated.
So just so that I understand this correctly, with the QR codes, so I could take this book with me, and so there's this, with the QR codes, I will know where to visit, which place after which place, and I will know through that
There is a section in the end, you can go through it while we speak. So the significance is mentioned, then you have the exact sequence.
Yes. Oh, I see. And so the QR code of each section is there.
So, it takes you from place to place in the exact sequence Ma would take you, and in the beginning of the book you have the explanation of the place, and later when you go on the tour. So what
this is amazing.
Done in conjunction with this, because this is quite a large book, it's pretty heavy.
Yes.
I've even compiled a small book called A Tour of Shirdi with Dr. Vinny Chitluri, which is a small guidebook, very small one, very easy to carry, which basically has only the tour information. So you can read this book, watch her documentaries, and carry that small book with you to Shirdi. It has all the information of the 3 tours that one can go on.
No, but this I am amazed because I was flipping through it initially, and the photos also act as a guide. I think any devotee of Baba would love to have this in their possession. It's really beautiful.
The original photos of Baba, the original paintings of Baba, all of them are mentioned here because we had done some documentaries with Ma on this where she had shared her insights. Even that is added. So it really is a landmark book in Baba's history because it has everything about the significance of his daily routine, the routes Baba would take, the places he would visit. So I would say it's a must-have and a must-read for all devotees.
Yes. Nick, I also remember the memories coming of that stone in which we saw Baba's imprints.
Yes.
Is that also covered?
Yes, it is in Korale temple, which we had visited.
Right.
So this stone coincidentally was given to her and Sada because there was a road demolition happening at the time, and this was the stone Baba would stand on and feed the animals and birds when he was on the Bhiksha road. So it's a very very blessed stone, and it is in the Korale temple, and any devotee visiting Shirdi must present
And
themselves
would find
there.
it in as part of the
Yes,
tour.
yes.
How beautiful. This
Yeah.
is tremendous.
So yeah, for 2 years, it's taken us about 2 years to compile this. And
So one can go on one's own or in a group, and
Yes.
one does not need to ask around people anymore, because
Yes.
the book has all the information, the QR codes are there, and
Everything.
they can navigate their own way through.
Everything.
Would you suggest they just take some mode of transport to move from?
Even these details, see, because what used to happen is I would get a lot of emails pertaining to these common questions. So I had this idea of the book A Tour of Shirdi,
Yes.
which answers these common questions. The routes are explained, even suggestions, like for example, especially for first-time visitors to
Right.
Shirdi, how to get the darshan pass,
Oh,
which
how nice.
accommodations are available. The Sanstha has a lot of facilities. Then, when you go there, some basic do's and don'ts, what to prepare, your dress code, certain things which are not mentioned in this book. So I feel they both work in conjunction with each other.
Yes.
So when someone visits Shirdi, I would recommend they read this.
Yes.
And they watch the documentaries, which is actually compiled in a playlist called A Tour of Shirdi.
Okay.
So all that information is put in this
Wonderful.
book. And the simple guidebook is A Tour of Shirdi, which has all this additional information with all the
Understood.
location information.
Right. How
Yeah.
nice.
So by Baba's grace, it's really a blessing this has come through. And
of course, Dr. Vinny, I never had the good fortune of meeting Dr. Vinny, but whatever I've heard about her from you, I mean, it's not easy being a historian, because you have to really stick to your ground, and you have to be thorough. You have to research thoroughly. It's a very time-consuming process.
And also, Gautam, see, she lived in Shirdi, which was not easy. Imagine inflows of devotees every day of different kinds, different temperaments. Every day, be it the rainy season, summers, at that age, she lived on the second floor. At the age of, from even in her 70s, to go and take people, because see, taking people over there every day, was something in her own car, even Sada. So, of course, there were two other aspects to her seva of, photographing everything, and they would do exhibitions also, which was a very large part of the seva she would render. And as a tribute to that, we've put all her original photographs, because a lot that goes on online were pictures taken by her, but nobody knew about it. So I told Sada it's very important that people know the source, and taking pictures at that time in the 80s and 90s was quite a big thing.
And where is this book available?
So it is listed on Amazon and House of Sai, and devotees can order either it individually. See, it's in 2 volumes. So volume 1 is finally come out, which is the one on Baba's history, and volume 2 is on Baba's Leelas prior to 1918. So both, it's a sequel that was already published earlier. So one can either order just volume 1 or get the set. And what we've done is we've compiled it as a set of 3 books, volume 1, volume 2, and the tour book. So if they get that, they get the 3rd small book for free.
Nice.
Yeah. So when they read this, they don't need to carry this. The tour book is very easy to take around.
No, I think this is gold. It is like a sacred tour of Shirdi where most people didn't know about such places.
Absolutely. And, she is a Mahabhakta. I mean, to me, Vinima is a Mahabhakta, and I feel this will pay homage to her service in years to come, because, in the days where there were no telephones, to go and trace back the descendants and travel all around. Sada has gone from the length and breadth of India, and he would joke that if I had a passport visa, I would have even gone to Pakistan to trace some of the descendants. So I think the service they have rendered, it's even difficult to comprehend, by Baba's grace, the breadth and scope of what has happened through them.
Yes, and your love for Baba is so much that you want to share it, like you said, taking people in your own car at that time.
Yes.
Around to these places, only because you want to share what you love so much with others,
So that's why I requested Sada. I said, Sada, it would be great in her own words, her own writings, this is shared, because otherwise, it's like the Chinese whispers. I hear something,
Correct.
I may share something unintentionally and it gets diluted.
Yes.
So, I'm really, really grateful that a proper, authentic record through the documentaries and this has come together. It has taken time. Like, this book has taken more than 2 years, but everything, is, and I really am really glad that it's all come together, and I hope that devotees get copies and distribute it also amongst other
Yes, I
devotees.
think the community needs to know that such a book exists. I didn't know, honestly. I didn't know about the book, I didn't know about the places, and I look forward to discovering more places which are mentioned in this book, because I always feel that such a master, anywhere he stepped, is sacred ground. If we are doing tours of museums and all, imagine missing out on
So you
such
see,
a
the
tour.
museum in Shirdi has all the artifacts that belong to Baba. We had done a documentary with Vinima, which is yet to be published on the channel, but it's edited and ready. So even that beautiful information from her is added in this book. So when one goes to Shirdi, now you will enter the museum understanding the significance. So these are very important things. Yeah.
What seva.
Really. I mean,
So inspiring.
it is Baba's, it's our great fortune we could have met her.
Yes.
And with Sada, in fact, next month we are doing a series on her life, because there are so many aspects where she met so many Mahabhaktas. She met Abdul Baba, she met many devotees, and to dive into those aspects of her life. And unassuming as she was, but I think now those jewels are all going to be discovered. So I'm grateful. Sada will come next month, and by Baba's grace, this important series on her life, the life of Vinima, will be recorded.
How wonderful.